All right. So do you remember John Durham, the special counsel appointed by Bill Barr at Donald Trump's direction to investigate whether the FBI had acted inappropriately in investigating Donald Trump for colluding with Russians? Well, that special investigation has finally ended. And what did he come up with? A big goose egg. Let's talk about it in today's video. Hi, I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. I'm also a lawyer and an academic, and I'm here to help you stand up to the BS of the MAGA crowd. So John Durham's tenure as special counsel has been not all that impressive. He was appointed by William Barr at Donald Trump's direction to try to show that the FBI should never have investigated Donald Trump for the alleged Russian interference in the 2016 election. This appointment, of course, was in response to the appointment and the successful investigation of former special counsel William Mueller, who was appointed by William Barr's predecessor as Attorney General in the Trump administration. Mueller's investigation found clearly two things. Number one, that the Russians had interfered in the 2016 election, and number two, that Trump and his associates had likely engaged in obstruction of justice. His investigation resulted in the conviction of at least 8 people, with at least 26 other individuals indicted, but who have remained outside of the jurisdiction of the United States due to their Russian nationality. Remember those numbers, because they're important. Let's contrast that with the success rate of the Durham investigation, which was 0 convictions, after bringing 2 charges in jury trials where both defendants were very quickly acquitted. Quite the contrast with the Mueller investigation, which had successfully prosecuted so many people. Now, as with the Mueller special investigation, the Durham investigation produced a report at its conclusion. This investigation has been turned into a mountain or a molehill, depends upon how you use the analogy. But at any rate, the conservatives have seized upon it, claiming that it shows that the FBI acted inappropriately. But in fact, Durham says no such thing in his report. See, by way of background, the source of the FBI investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election came from an Australian diplomat. That diplomat had heard George Papadopoulos, a middle-level Trump operative, bragging about the fact that the Russians had information on Hillary Clinton and that they were going to release it to help Trump. After WikiLeaks released a trove of documents that were stolen from the Democratic National Convention, that Australian diplomat shared that conversation with his American counterparts. That tip is what led to the start of the FBI investigation into Russian interference in the U.S. election. Now, based upon that tip, at the time, the FBI launched a full investigation. Durham argues in his report that they probably went too far in doing that instead they should have launched a preliminary investigation to assess the credibility of the tip first. That's kind of 6 one way, half dozen another. Either way, he acknowledges the fact that there was a legitimate tip and that it deserved to be investigated. In fact, Durham acknowledges the fact that the FBI was under an obligation to investigate that lead, that it was sufficiently credible that the FBI could not ignore it. What's more is the Durham report does a couple things that I think are very telling. For one thing, it does not say that there was any political motive behind the investigation. The Durham report acknowledges the fact that the investigation was based upon this tip from the Australian diplomat. Nothing more, nothing less. This was not some witch hunt by Democrats in the deep state in the Justice Department. Secondly, Durham doesn't question any of the conclusions of the Mueller report or the other reports that have revealed Russian interference in the U.S. election to the benefit of Donald Trump. And his assertion that the FBI should have only launched a preliminary investigation rather than a full investigation, well, that's just a matter of opinion. And as they say, hindsight is 20/20. So the conservatives jumping on this assertion are mainly relying upon a matter of opinion by John Durham, who's basically failed to convict anybody based upon this investigation, and who acknowledges the fact that the FBI was under the obligation to investigate this tip, and that it wasn't based upon political interference. Pretty weak conclusions if that's all the Republicans are relying upon. Well, if you want to see another video where I talk about how flawed the Durham investigation was, check out this video over here. I'll see you then. In the meantime, Let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.